Hi, I'm Diane Hayworth. I'm a coach, an author, and a speaker. And I wanted to tell you a little story. I am really privileged to talk to people from all over the country and in some cases the world who've read my book, How to Choose Love When You Just Want to Slap Somebody. And I always get the same question, how'd you come up with that title? It is a good title. And I really love this title. I wish I could tell you I thought it up. I didn't. It actually came to me, and I want to tell you how that happened. This book is actually about the journey my family and I took the last 2 years of my dad's life. He had become ill and had gone to the hospital for what we thought was going to be, quick in and out at the ER, maybe an overnight stay. That turned into being told by doctors that he would not come out of the hospital, that he probably wouldn't live through the weekend. That moved into several weeks in the hospital, then several weeks turned into several months. And actually, my dad never was able to come home the last 20 months of his life. My entire family, of course, was affected by this. We all live in the same town, so we were all contributing, doing what we could to take care of him. And we were exhausted. We were worried for our dad, and we were physically, mentally, and spiritually exhausted from this. If you've ever had that kind of ongoing trauma, rather it was the ongoing illness of a loved one or living through a natural disaster, you know exactly what we're talking about. Well, on this one day, my sister and I were actually in a waiting room at the hospital. Oh, I guess we'd been in the hospital and ERs and nursing home and things with Dad well over a year at this point. And we were just spent. And my sister, who I have to say is the most loving, kind, compassionate person in the world, she looked at me and said, "What are we going to do?" She was just exhausted, and she said, "What are we going to do?" And I remember so clearly, I looked out the window. The hospital in our town is actually on a hill. And I looked out, and it was actually in the direction of my dad's house. And I remembered just having this feeling that something really important was happening. And what came through me was this phrase. In response to, what are we going to do now? I said to her, we have to choose love. Love for ourselves, love for Dad, love for the doctors, for the nurses, love for everybody involved. And more importantly than that, we have to ask ourselves the question, how does love move us forward? Now, I didn't come up with that because that's way beyond something that I was capable of at that time. I'd been teaching about love. I'd been a spiritual teacher, a healer for years at that point, a coach. But when you're in that kind of prolonged stress, sometimes you forget the very core principles that you teach to other people, and that's exactly what happened to me. When we started to shift our thinking from being adversarial, us against the medical establishment or the insurance company, battling for my dad's health, when we shifted to that place of loving presence and just asking ourselves, and I know I asked myself several times a day, what does love look like here? Love for myself, because I had to be as present and calm and rational as possible to be able to help my dad, to help my family, to be able to understand what was going on in the medical situation so we could really do what we needed to do. When we shifted to that perspective, everything changed. Everything. We were able to make better decisions because instead of being so stressed and upset all the time, we were able to really think from that place of love and compassion instead of that place of fear and loss. Now, my dad did eventually pass, but I can tell you the experience was so much more loving than it would have been if I had stayed in that place of fear. And you can see it affects me still to this day, and it's several years later. This is why I'm so passionate about teaching other people how to bring conscious awareness to your everyday chaos, because we're always going to have everyday chaos. This just happened to be mine. And it led to this book, which is really a love letter to the other adult children that I sat next to in countless waiting rooms and in hospice care and in the nursing homes. But it really helps anybody in that kind of situation. It just helps remind you how technically how, what tools, techniques, how to choose love in the face of fear, stress, and overwhelm. And more importantly, how that changes every aspect of your life. How you can be healthier, happier, more present. Even in terrible situations, you're going to be better able to handle what's happening to you when you're coming from a place of love. So that's how I came up with this title. It actually was from that time in the ER waiting room that changed my life. It really did. You'll have your own moment that comes to you. This happened to be mine, and it's something I use to help others. And I hope this has been of service to you. Thank you.